Hey fish fans, it's Raina Mermaid. We are at the end of the California Mermaid Con. I have a special guest today, and before we introduce her, I'm gonna ask you to please like and subscribe, click the bell if you want to get notified, and check us out on social media. So we have just finished the California Mermaid Convention, and I have finally got to meet in person the legendary mermaid Monique. How are you today?
Zonked. To be perfectly honest, it has been a long weekend, and it is now Tuesday. I'm still kind of packing up my Airbnb. We're sitting in front of my Airbnb.
It's a beautiful Airbnb.
It is. This is my California Mercon home. I stayed here last year. I'm here this year. The host is the sweetest, nicest, kindest lady. Everything's moving so quickly. Like, I don't even have makeup on. It's just one of those days, but I'm so excited to be talking to you, Raina. When I first started being interested in mermaiding, you know, your channel was one of the first things I saw. So you were such a helpful resource, and so it's an honor to be now being interviewed for said channels.
I'm so happy to hear that. I feel like it's really important to put out as much information as we can to help people be safe and help them feel included and represented, and I'm really excited to have you on the channel. Before we get into the whole mermaiding journey, can you tell folks where you traveled from to come here?
I am based right outside of DC in Northern Virginia.
So did you have to fly to get here? How many flights?
We had two. So we flew into Denver, and then so we had a layover in Denver, and then flew from Denver to Sacramento, and then tonight we've got a straight shot overnight. So I'll get home at like 6. Well, we'll land at like 6:30 in the morning.
So what sort of things have you been doing while you're here at the convention?
Well, the biggest thing is that this was Mermaid Tiva and myself's first time teaching our Nowy Mermaid certification class. So we ran that class on Saturday. We did the online, well, the academic portion, the classroom portion online a few weeks ago. And so that was kind of the thing I was the most nervous about. This con has also had a lot of press. So it seems like every time I turn around, I'm sitting down for an interview. So I've done several of those. Did the promenade. What else did I do?
Did you do the ball?
I did the bubble ball, and I was vending, which is always awesome. And the promenade was my first time vending to non-merfolk, so that was a really cool experience too.
Interesting. So it sounds like you had an extremely busy time. So when you're vending, tell me about the group you're vending for.
So I am the founder of the Society of Fat Mermaids, and we are a community and size-inclusive clothing line that centers and celebrates fat folks and fat bodies. We have t-shirts that go from a small through a 6XL. We have leggings from a extra small to a 5XL. We also kind of debuted a bunch of stickers at the cons this year. They're not on our website yet, but probably by the time you see this, they will be. And so we had a bunch of stickers with some of our designs that are usually on our shirts, as well as just like some fun little like keychains and things like that.
That's really awesome. This is how I mean, I had seen you online loads, and you've had some content go viral, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but I saw you with your company, and then I heard you speak on a panel for one of the conventions, and I just found you to be such an eloquent speaker, first of all, just so interesting to listen to, and you sort of opened my mind to some of the barriers facing merfolk, and I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit more about size inclusivity in terms of specifically for merfolk.
Well, I think one thing that's really interesting is that a lot of mermaid tails are pretty generous, right? They're really stretchy, and if you're into this, you know that. And I think a lot of us have the experience where it's, oh, I wear a size medium usually, but my tail's an extra small, or something like that. But as a person who wears a 3 to 4X, if I'm on a website and it ends at an extra large, like, I'm not gonna think that like I can get a tail that fits me, therefore I don't think I can do mermaiding. One of the big things we do by being literally out there, it lets other people know that there is an option, but we have a sizing survey. I have a physicist who knows statistics, who's helping me crunch the data, but we've been just trying to help A, talk directly to tail makers, and B, just get the word out amongst the community about what does fit what size body, what works for better body shapes and sizes. Since we have been able to talk to tail makers, I'm super proud to say since I launched Society of Fat Mermaids, like, I've noticed that Finfolk and Mertailor have both expanded their sizing. And so I don't think that's solely due to us, but I do think we've had influence on that, and I'm really, really happy to see that. So that's a big thing. Also, a lot of monofins, if your thighs are big, it's gonna be really hard to put your feet right on each other. So our Facebook group, which is Society of Fat Mermaids Let's Connect, is just an awesome place for people to talk and be like, okay, my foot's kind of shaped like this, or like my foot's a little fatter, you know, what monofin works for you. And I'm hoping over time to really compile that into a more readily searchable kind of resource. But right now our Facebook group is just a community where people can talk about that thing. And like, where can you find a top? I have a mythic top. Everybody's like, oh Shay, you're so sexy. And yeah, I don't mind because I don't do kid stuff, you know, but I would also not mind if the cup covered a little more of my cups. It just doesn't.
Yeah, this is a new experience for me since having a baby, because I went from a very small B cup to a double D, like a big double D, and none of my mermaid tops that I owned previously, some that were my favorite, fit anymore. And even just wearing them, I mean, I do work with kids and there's nothing wrong with boobies, but I don't necessarily want, you know, everything coming out the sides and the front. And it actually made me think of your group, because geez, if I'm having trouble just finding a double D, what about people who are way off of that chart? You know, one of my mermaids is a G, and that blows my mind too. And also, just when you were talking there about monofins, I feel like the monofin industry as a whole needs an overhaul. We did a study in 2015 on the Finese monofins and sort of the stress points that they put on the body, and you can see our old video of it. Sean will link to it. I feel like definitely for someone who's heavier, there's going to be extra issues, but I don't know anybody who finds them comfortable.
Right.
And I feel like there's more that can be done. When we were working with an engineering group, this was part of their capstone project at the end of their semester, they kind of created like a bike shoe that clipped into the monofin, and when they tested it in their wave tank, it performed better, at the same or better than the regular foot pockets. We still had the same speed and everything, so I'd like to see maybe more do that. And then with extended tails being such this like interest point in the mermaid community, you know, that would allow for some more extension of the tails. So I don't know, it's just something I've kind of got in the back of my mind. So we'll have to link up about that. We can probably swap data or something.
Yeah, that would be cool.
One of the things that I get spoken to about a lot on my channel and on my blogs and on my Facebook is I'm hearing this same comment over and over and over again is, oh, I want to have a tail, I want a mermaid, but I'm going to diet first, or I'm going to wait till I lose 20 pounds. For me, I'm always saying, don't wait to have the quote-unquote perfect body to live your life and have fun. And I was just wondering if you could maybe speak directly to some of my fans who feel this way.
That's exactly how I feel. And I feel two ways, right? Your body as it is perfectly fine to mermaid in. There is no specific body you need to have to enjoy mermaiding. So that's the one thing, is you can do it now. But the other thing is, even if you are uncomfortable in your body and you choose to want to change it, and you really have decided for your own personal reasons that you want to lose weight, Raina just said, don't wait to start your life. You don't need to lose 5 pounds to have fun tonight. Just enjoy your life, or 50 or 75. You're alive right now. Live and enjoy your life right now. Yeah, please, 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 please. Do not put your life on hold due to some outside standard on how you're supposed to look or live. Chances are, if you start having fun, you'll feel a lot more comfortable in your body anyway.
Thank you so much for saying that, because I feel like a thin person, and when I'm trying to say it, people are, oh, well, Raina doesn't get it because she's, you know, she's thin. But at the same time, I felt the pressure being postpartum, that pressure to snap back really fast. And I had a lot of people leave me comments. I'm curious if you get these comments too. I don't know if they mean it as a compliment or passive aggressive or what, but it's sort of double-edged. And they're like, oh, I wish I had your confidence.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh,
yeah.
I didn't have that confidence after I had a baby. I didn't wear a swimsuit until I was 2 years postpartum.
But why? And the judgment with that. And it's like, no. That doesn't make sense. You put your life on hold for 2 years. And there's no special way a body needs to look. You just made a human.
Yes.
A whole entire human.
Yes.
And honestly, if you have some, I don't want to say battle scars, but evidence of that on your body,
yes,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, you made a person.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard. I will admit that, you know, I've been working very hard on my own view of my body. Prior to having River, I think I had some disordered thoughts and feelings around my body, mainly because the mermaid world professionally really seems to favor a specific look, and I felt very difficult at my age and the sort of time I have to spend it started becoming my whole life was trying to fit into that look, to meet with these clients. Coming to California, everyone here is so freaking beautiful. Like, it's a little intimidating. I'm still working really hard on it, and it's okay if you don't totally love your body, but like Shay said, your life is now. Your life is now. Also, mermaiding is fantastic exercise. Some people, it does help them lose weight. It doesn't do it for me because it's very much built into my baseline of activity, but for some people it does. Why do you need to be a size 2 to wear a mermaid tail? When you're wearing your mermaid tail, people are looking at your mermaid tail. They're so interested in it. And speaking of that, I'm going to segue here. You have had a lot of viral content recently. I remember TikTok, and I'm just curious what sort of responses you've had from people when your content goes viral.
TikTok in particular is fascinating because when your content goes viral, you can kind of watch it travel the globe.
Yeah.
So it's really, really neat.
Yeah.
And so I feel like most of the US-based comments are super positive and, oh wow, you know, so beautiful, so exciting, whatever. And then as it gets to other countries, it starts getting a little more mixed. But I would say it's at least half positive. But there's definitely parts of the world where you can just tell the conversations about body positivity aren't happening. The conversations about fat liberation aren't happening. They may not be as diverse. And so when you start to put all that stuff together, I am a 300 plus pound black woman over 35. Some people are just, what? You're gonna put on a what and do what? You know? And so for me, even though some of the comments are negative, there's a certain type of negative comment where I can really tell that it's almost like when you just try a new food. It's like I've just unlocked a thing in their brain. They didn't even know that a person like me could be free, because we have so many people walking around saying I need to lose 20 pounds before I can start enjoying my life. Yeah. And so fortunately, and I do think that my age has helped in terms of how old I was when I started mermaiding, even when I get some of the nastier comments, a lot of them I'm like, well, hopefully the next time you see, you know, a liberated woman, you won't be so judgy because you now have a reference point for that.
There's a lot of assumptions made about fat and body health that we're really starting to see data coming out, and that our past data was very skewed and biased. Yes. And that new data is showing us that fat bodies are not this unhealthy thing that we've sort of been led to believe. I have serious chronic illness. There's things I'm never going to be able to do that a fat person can do and are way healthier than I am in that regard. One of my former mermaids is a burlesque performer. She can dance amazing, and I'm never going to be able to dance. It's something I'm never going to be able to do. So why is it that when someone looks at her and compares her to me and decides that I'm healthy and she's not, in reality, I'm so sick. Like, I have so many things wrong with me, right?
But we want to just be able to look at people snapshot. Okay, this is this and that is that, and that's just not.
We try to compartmentalize people, and it's really difficult to fight your own biases. We all think that we don't have them until we're challenged with something, and then it's, oh yeah, you know, you're black. The atmosphere in the United States for black people is very different. We obviously have racism and a lot of issues in Canada as well, but they're sort of a different experience. I've caught myself a few times in the past few years. I've added more diversity to my team, and I've said to my team, I want to do better, so please check me. Please try to be gentle because I'm sensitive, but like, please check me if I'm doing things. Caitlin, Mermaid Raina, she has brought some things to my attention that I've needed to work on, and I've been, oh my God, that is quite the microaggression that I did not even realize that I had. So I'm hoping that when your content goes viral, in anyone's content really, that people are kind of checking themselves and thinking about those things. And like you said, maybe now they have a reference point, and next time they'll think of something different. But when you went viral on TikTok, was it Cyndi Lauper who liked?
Yeah. So Cyndi Lauper's commented on one of my videos, and Lizzo's commented on one of my videos. So they both know I exist. So that does make me very happy.
That is super amazing. Oh.
And when Lizzo commented, the video was going so viral, I wasn't really checking the comments, and so I didn't see that Lizzo had commented on it until 6 months later.
Oh my God.
So that was kind of funny too.
Oh my God, well congratulations. Lizzo's radar, that's amazing. I'd love to see Lizzo do a mermaid thing. Like,
yes.
I'm wearing Sailor Moon shorts here, and she's done a Sailor Moon thing. Have you seen her black Sailor Moon, which she does her hair up in the braids and the buns?
Yes.
So gorgeous. I love it. So I guess I would just ask, do you have any advice or suggestions for my followers who may maybe deal with online comments or hate about their bodies or mermaiding in general? Like, just how, any words of wisdom for coping with trolling?
I say don't feed the trolls. So like, start there. And then you kind of have to figure out more or less how thick your skin is and where you are. So I think all the social medias now have options where you can put in keywords to filter out. If you don't have thick skin, filter it out. I kind of vacillate a little bit. Every comment you leave is just feeding the algorithm and you're helping more people know I exist. I don't have any filtered blockers, but if somebody says something particularly nasty, sometimes I'll delete it, not really because it's making me lose sleep, but I don't want someone else to see it and get hurt because, you know, they look like me. So if you need to do blockers, do blockers. And I think every channel or every social media thing has an option to block by keyword. And then also I found that generally speaking, you get 85 positive comments and 3 negative ones, and somehow we pretend the inverse happened. And so just look at the numbers. You're doing amazing stuff. And also know your why, because your why is going to determine things, right? This is my career, and so for me, kind of letting even some of the nastier comments build up to help feed the algorithm is beneficial to my numbers, right?
Yeah.
If this is just your passion, you don't need that in your life. Cut it out.
Yeah.
Literally cut it out.
I'm a very sensitive person, and my YouTubers know that my comments are auto-moderated. Comments do not get posted on my YouTube until I approve them, because I get a lot of rude comments, but I also get fetishy comments, and where we cater a lot to children, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So just having that moderation in play helps me. I will delete comments because they hurt my feelings, and I'm trying to get a thicker skin about it, but I'm also a very deeply sensitive person, and I like that about myself. So I don't necessarily want to harden myself too much. And what Shay said about using the keywords, I only recently learned how to do that. So you can go onto your Instagram. You know how you get those annoying comments? You post this gorgeous photo, all of a sudden you have 5 comments, and you're, ooh, let's go see what they are. And it's, oh, DM me to be featured on blah, blah, blah. Like, I can't stand those spam bots. You can go into that feature and put those words in and block it from happening. So that's really good. I like that. So thank you for sharing that advice. It's the same thing. One of the things I say is don't let other people determine who you are. So if somebody is calling you every name in the book because you're having fun, they don't get to determine who you are. You determine who you are, right? They don't matter, and it's so easy to say, I know.
But also, you're out there living your best mermaid life, doing this really cool, amazing thing that so many people can only dream of, and they're just sitting on their phone.
Probably in the bathroom.
You're fat. You know, like, okay, we're doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's, how dare someone who's just lazily pushing buttons influence our magic? Like, It doesn't even make sense.
And it is magic. It really is magic. So we've talked about the body aspect of things, and I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit about what your experience has been like being a Black mermaid in the Black community. So the terms that we're trying to get everyone to use is Black, Indigenous, persons of color, people of color, BIPOC? BIPOC. And so that's sort of meant to include minorities. And just as someone who's been in the industry for 14 years, I did not see many Black merfolk, I guess, on social media, or even when I would go to conventions. When I would go to conventions, Blix would be there, Caribbean Pearl would be there, and sometimes that would be all there was. And now we are finally starting to see more people. But what are some of your experiences specifically for Blackness, like being a mermaid?
That's interesting, right? I've always been Black, so in some level it's hard to be, what is my experience as a Black merc? But also, it's just my experience. I will say,
it's almost like saying, what is your experience as a woman, right? Like,
right,
I've always been female.
Right. But, you know, I can speak to it a bit. One thing, and I was talking to someone about this yesterday, is that I have throughout the course of my lifetime, due to the various interests that I've had, gotten used to being one of the few Black people in the room. While it is something I think about and kind of brace myself for, if that makes sense, it is also something that is a little bit normal for me. And I realize that younger folks, because the world is getting better, don't necessarily have that experience as much. I know for some folks it's hard to come to a convention if you don't know how many other POC are going to be there or whatever. And for me, it's, I want to go, I'm coming, but I completely understand why you might not, you know, there's a...
Well, there's certain things that you have to think about that I have never had to think about, you know? We're mutual friends with Shireen. Shireen and I met on a Mexico trip, and I love her. She told me about going to the tank that you guys have done photos in, and just just how her brother was very careful about dropping her off because of the neighborhood she was in and wanting to make sure she was safe. I don't really have to think about that.
Right.
I don't have to go, oh, I'm in an all-white neighborhood, am I safe?
Yeah.
That is a bit jarring. Being a white business owner with a mostly white team, we have been able to diversify in the past few years. One of the challenges I've run into is clients that are black asking for a black mermaid. I mean, I would absolutely love to give you a black mermaid. I have an indigenous mermaid. Doing these gigs for these black girls, one of the mistakes I made once, I give mermaid makeovers. And this is, again, just sort of the microaggression, me not realizing the differences. I dumped glitter in this little girl's hair because that's what I do. I put glitter on the little girls. And the dad sent me a kind but firm email saying, don't ever do that to a black child's hair again unless you've spoken to their parents, because I can't get this out.
Right.
Yeah, and that was just completely oblivious to me. I've never had to deal with that stuff, and it's just one little thing that, you know, mermaids love our glitter.
Right.
I see that you have some of the fairy strands braided into your hair today. I'm just pointing them out if they're not showing up on camera. They're gorgeous. I'm wondering, I don't know if you can speak to this or not, but I'm going to ask it. As a white business owner who is trying to make sure that my clients are represented in my roster of merfolk, do you have any suggestions for black merfolk who may feel apprehensive about auditioning for teams?
Ask around. Talk to other folks, people who, even if they're not part of that team, are close to that team, and just get the inside scoop. And as a business owner, I'd say recruit, but also nurture, because there are less of us, right? And so, yeah, if you want to diversify, you also have, this person seems to have some potential. Let me help them on their journey.
Exactly. That's how we approach things with Halifax Mermaids. It's very different for us in Canada than the States. With companies here, you can have a mermaid come audition for you and they may actually be an established mermaid.
Right.
That does not happen where I am.
Gotcha.
They're renting tails from me. I'm teaching them to swim in a tail. We just hired Nada, who immigrated from Egypt, and you know, she's never swam in a tail before, and I've been teaching her, and I told her, I don't want you to stress about the tail part. I'm much more concerned about your personality, your ability to work with clients, your knowledge base, your ability to kind of roll with the punches. I can teach you the tail part, and at some point, switch is going to flip in your brain for swimming with your feet together, and all of a sudden it's going to be really easy.
Right.
And watching it happen was amazing.
That's cool.
Like, I love it.
That's
I love
cool.
it. It's so beautiful. So with Society of Fat Mermaids, you actually do have a Merfolk for Black Lives shirt. And I saw that there was this fantastic movement online with this, where a lot of POC were, you know, posting the hashtag, posting their support, posting images. And I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about that.
Well, one thing I loved about it, and like, I feel like the movement was, yes, it was for POC, but it was really my way of trying to give white folks an accessible way to have this conversation.
Yeah.
I think when everything was going down in 2020, I just saw all these people being, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so I was, this is what you do. You have a platform. Let's use it, and use your voice to speak out against racism, but not just be, it's bad to be racist. Because I think a lot of times that's what we want to say. It's bad to be racist, and I'm not racist. And those are lovely things to say and think. Let me tell you something. You are racist. Like, if you are living in the West, there's no way that you're not. If you think of the atmosphere as soup, there's no way, especially in America, I'm gonna wager Canada as well, that you manage to make it to a point where you're old enough to understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, and you haven't, at least subconsciously, absorbed some racist ideas.
Yeah.
You've also absorbed homophobic ideas and transphobic ideas and sexist ideas. It's just so a part of our culture. I feel like, and this is what I didn't want to happen, as people were trying to make their stands, they wanted us to know that I'm not racist, I would never do that. You probably would on accident. You probably might, you know, behind closed doors.
Yeah. Well, I caught myself once, and this is really embarrassing to admit, and I'm sharing it because I want people to realize that we do screw up and we need to do better. I caught myself, one of my good friends is Asian. It doesn't have an accent, but her father does. And I caught myself once trying to tell a story about her father and kind of making a funny accent. And then as soon as I did it, I was like, oh my God.
And that's what needs to happen.
That is horrible that I did that, and it's mortifying to think about it, and I'm still really embarrassed about it.
And most of the work of dismantling racism, like, a lot of it is the internal moments like that. Ooh, did I do that?
But what we tend to do is be, oh, well, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. But you know what? It came off like that. So kind of have to check myself. You have to check yourself. I do want to put a little bit in here that my most disliked video on YouTube is talking about the black casting of Ariel. That it was before the actress was chosen and a lot of people wanted Zendaya to be Ariel.
Okay.
And so I made a video about all the reasons why I thought Zendaya would be a fantastic Ariel. It is my most disliked video. I had to turn off comments and likes because the racist commentary was horrific, and I think a lot of merfolk will remember when that came out, that they were looking to cast a black Ariel, that people did not like that idea of messing with Ariel. And it's so unfortunate because the mermaid mythos starts in Africa, folks.
As do many things. And so, yeah, for me, hashtag Merfolk for Black Lives was just a way, what I asked people to do was pick one little element of your life, something you're passionate about. You know, you've got a little one, you know, you might be thinking about preschool soon, but I might be, well, so maybe you should look into the school to prison pipeline and find out how my considerations for picking a preschool might be a little bit more different than yours.
Great.
You know,
good point. I actually never thought of that until you just said it. Yeah, that is fascinating.
You know, if you're buying a house, look into redlining. If you love to
which
swim,
I recently learned about because we are trying to buy a house, and that is insane.
You know, you love to swim. It's easy to be like, oh, a lot of black people can't swim.
Why?
Dig
Why is that?
and find out why, and all the different discrimination and things that happen there. And so my goal with hashtag Merfolk for Black Lives was to tell people to, unfortunately, almost any subject you can think of or anything you're interested in or you have going on in your life, there's a racist element to it. So find the racism in the thing you're passionate about, educate yourself, and work on dismantling it and speak up about it, is what I did with Merfolk for Black Lives. And that, I think, kind of put me in the spotlight a bit within the mer community, which was a really interesting moment.
So there's a lot of ways that the mer community needs to sort of grow to help support Black lives and other minorities. So we spoke about on the business owner end, nurturing people and being open to things, searching out people, that sort of stuff. What about pod meetups and conventions or even just online group chats? Any suggestions?
Well, Afro Mermaids in 3 weeks. I'm super, I think,
oh, that's
roughly
right.
3 weeks.
I really want to, I can't go this year, but I definitely want to go sometime.
I'm super stoked. I wasn't able to make last year. It looked like I had a family wedding this year, but I'm able to go. And Tiva and I are bringing the Nowie Mermaid cert there as well. And so we're super excited about that. And that, my understanding, is almost just a grand family reunion. But in these other cons, these bigger cons, I think it's important for leadership to kind of ask these questions and kind of troubleshoot. Try to get POC in the room.
Or on the staff.
And yeah, well, yeah, when I meant in the room, I meant like the planning room. If you get feedback, really go, what can we do to make our space more inclusive? And ask that question, you know, that like, who's not in this room right now question, and why aren't they in this room right now question. Microaggressions are going to pop up wherever you go, I feel like, because again, people have racist ideology kind of just baked into them. You want, as leadership, to kind of be actively working to dismantle that.
Speaking as someone who's run the con before, there has to be an openness from the leadership, and we have to work really hard not to be defensive. We did the first diversity panel, which featured Blix and a number of other prominent Black merfolk. It was difficult to get the white community to accept it, and not just accept it, but not take over. I think many of us, regardless of the issue we're discussing, we want to inject ourselves into it and how we relate to it.
Right.
And sometimes as white people, we just need to shut up. We just need to be quiet and listen to what the person is trying to tell us. We don't need to necessarily say, oh, I've had that experience of being discriminated against because I'm this or that. Okay, but right now we're going to talk about what it's like to be discriminated against because of your skin color. Okay?
Right.
So we need to, as leaders, there is actually training that we can access. LinkedIn Learning has some fantastic stuff on, it's free if you have a LinkedIn account. I'm just plugging that there. But there's diversity training that you can take to help you navigate these conversations and navigate your planning and stuff like that.
And I highly recommend that. That's kind of where I am now. When people are, hey Shay, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I think this, but I only know this because of my life. But there's diversity, equity, and inclusion training that you can take where somebody whose job this really is and who's researched it, right? I haven't super researched it, I've just lived it, you know?
Exactly.
But there are people who know methodology and best practices, and also so get that training.
It's wonderful that you are so open about things, but it shouldn't be your job to educate me, and it shouldn't, unless we're actually paying you to do that and we're hiring you to do that. And again, I love that you are so open and talk about it and you're willing to come on my YouTube and everything, but it shouldn't be on your shoulders to educate those of us around you. We really need to step up and do some of this work too. So meetups, cons, all those kind of planning kind of things, is there anywhere that Black Merfolk or folks who might be interested in Society of Fat Mermaids can kind of link up online?
Totally. Society of Fat Mermaids, we have a Facebook group, Society of Fat Mermaids, let's connect. I'm working on making our Instagram and TikToks more robust and more community centered. There are a few Facebook groups. I think Shireen started one for POC MERS. You can always DM. Like if you're a POC, DM somebody and be like, hey.
We're also gonna have all Shay's links and socials in the description of this video, and Sean will probably magically make them pop up at the bottom of the screen.
Yes. I'm everywhere as Mermaid Shay Monique. There's lots of Facebook groups. The one I run is Society of Fat Mermaids, Let's Connect. We've got the Afro Mermaid Summit coming up. I think for people who are run pods and run cons, I think even just expanding where you advertise sometimes can be useful, really being mindful of what guests are you bringing in, because the people you feature are going to influence people's decisions to show up, right?
Yeah, exactly. When I did my workshop for the convention on the history of professional mermaiding, I noticed that it was all white. And it's because I was doing it from my perspective of what I've learned as well. And that information on POC was a little bit harder to find. So I started reaching out to people and saying, well, who was the first person you remember? And do you remember, remember any shows? Do you remember any films? And then I had, a few MERS from the Asian community send me some stuff. Oh yeah, I forgot about this and I forgot about that because it's not my lived life.
Right.
But then I was able to include it to make sure that other people felt included and represented in the history. Because history is written primarily white, but it is not lived primarily white. So even just with those things, we need to kind of, again, microaggressions, kind of take a step back and look at what we're representing so that everyone can feel like they're part of the party.
Totally. I'm really excited that California Mermaid Convention does the Society of Fat Mermaids group photo. And one of the reasons I really want the photo to happen, of course it's really cool for the photo to happen, but I also feel like, and they did the BIPOC photo this year too, I feel like when you're online and you're looking at the schedule and you're looking at the event and you see that there's a Society of Fat Mermaids group photo that's part of the convention schedule. And Mermagicon, we've been able to do our Fat Mermaids Make Waves panel there in person. When you see this thing that straight up says fat on it, it's, oh, okay, I guess I am welcome. And I feel the same way about the BIPOC photo. I feel the same way, about the gender specific, the merman panel. I know Mermagicon has one, and
we had a lot of non-binary folks.
Yeah, a ton of non-binary and transgender merfolk. I always say, and we have a shirt that says gender is fluid under the sea.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I wonder if Iz saw that. We have to get that as a gift for them.
Oh man, I wish I hadn't just packed that. At the very least I have a sticker available. But yeah, and I think there's some reasons that we have so much gender diversity in the mer community, but I think when cons kind of put that on their front and center, just lets people know that it's okay for them to come, and that people aren't going to stare at them or whatever.
That is a big fear. When I was talking to people and I was trying to say, you should come out and check, well, I don't know if I'd be welcome. Like, why wouldn't you be welcome? And then they express their fears, and it's true. And again, as organizers, we have to do better to make sure that people feel welcome. So I love that.
But I also love that for the most part, there's exceptions, but I find this community to be overwhelmingly loving and accepting. I find that this community, once you get in, there's definitely some people who could stand to learn a thing or two.
Yeah.
But overwhelmingly, the community, at least I feel like as the official stance, is the only thing we don't tolerate is intolerance.
Yeah.
I do feel like that's how the mer community is, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I think that most of the people in the community are willing to learn and grow and do the work, and I think that that's absolutely beautiful too.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic.
I'm so thankful that you are chatting with us today. Before we wrap up here, I just want to talk about your beautiful outfit and what you're wearing, kind of like red carpet style.
Awesome.
So who made your crown?
This is a Mermaid Dazzle. I think this is the first waterproof swimmable style she did, and I love it. It's really easy to travel with, and so again, end of the con, not wearing makeup, everything's packed. This thing packs down so small, I just toss it in my my bag. I'm a little hard on it, but that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I'm hard on all my gear, as my YouTube followers know. And your shirt is Society of Fat Mermaids?
Yeah, this is our signature logo shirt, yep.
And your pants, are these Society of Fat Mermaids?
These are also Society of Fat Mermaids.
Stunning.
Yeah, about a year ago, Abby Tails designed our official scale pattern.
What a killer person she is.
Right?
19 years old. I wish I could interview her too.
You should.
Tail making business. We'll drop a link to Abby Tails, and Sean's got some footage. That'll be a whole video on itself.
So yeah, she designed these amazing scales for us, and so we're gonna start launching them in a bunch of different colors, but we've got kind of the pastel rainbow like I'm wearing. We've got the full, more vibrant rainbow. We have, I think, blue, pink, and green and purple ombre. That starts out darker and then fades a little lighter. And then my favorite is that she did 7 kind of skin tones for us. So you can have like a nude mermaid scale legging.
Nice.
And then you can also do, you know, so I think I'm a shade 5. So it would start out at shade 5 and then ombre down to like pink scales at the bottom.
And that is something that you just reminded me. A lot of tail makers have started doing the blended waist, but they're white waists, right?
Yeah.
When I've let Black Merfolk wear my tails, I won't say the brand because I don't want to make it seem shady. It's not meant to sound shady. It's very white. You know, it doesn't look like a white waist.
And a lot of them, like, even when they're not like a blended waist, it'll just get to be a really pale pink or a really pale orange. And I can tell that it's designed to, while not being like an official blended waist, kind of seamlessly do that transition. And yeah, it doesn't work for me.
So let's talk about tails. This is your tail. Tell us about your tail, where it came from, why you chose it, what you like about it.
I love this tail. This is a magic tail. My one friend says I'm the anti-magic tail ambassador because honestly what I love about it is that where I swim, most people are in Finfolk and Mertailer, sometimes Fin Fun, and a lot of people haven't heard of magic tail. And so what I like about it is it looks really different. That's the #1 thing I love about it. I got this tail because in the Society of Fat Mermaids Facebook group, Cindy Sexton, who's one of the Fat Mers who's been at it for a long time, she was talking about magic tail and we're about the same size. And I was, oh, let me check that out. I love the vibrancy of the colors here. Magic Tail sends you this little sock thing that, because it's for the mahina.
Okay.
And so they send a little sock thing. So it's not really part of the tail, but I put this over my mahina to kind of protect the tail itself from the mahina. But the other thing I love is when you get down into the fluke, there's a little bit of green, there's a little bit of red and yellow. And so I feel, even though, yes, that's what I love about it. Even though the most dominant colors on it are the blue and orange, I feel like there's enough of the rest of the rainbow. I think there's even, there's a little slight purple in here. There's enough of all the other colors that I don't ever think of what's gonna match it. I just treat it as a neutral because the whole rainbow's in here. It is super thin, but the other thing I love about this magic tail is basically the second tail, technically third, but basically the second tail I got after I really started mermaiding.
Special memories attached to it.
Yeah, well, no, bigger than that is this is my signature tail, right? And so I honestly take great pride in how much I've been able to do as a mermaid wearing the same tail for the past 3 years. It really does.
Looks brand new to me. I can't believe you've been using it for 3 years.
I haven't literally been using this one. I have 3 of it.
Oh, okay.
The very first one is torn, and then I have 2 that I switch out.
Yeah.
Because they said it was a limited edition, even though it's still on their website, and I panicked, and I was, well, what if something happens to it? So I got 2 more, and it shows somewhere. I really take pride in, like, people are into Mermaid Chez Monique. They're not following my tail. It's totally fine. Obviously, there are tons of us who are like, I got this tail this week and I got this tail.
No, this is
that's
so
really
iconically
cool.
you.
But I do kind of take pride in the fact that I've been able to build a considerable following without that particular gimmick. I've got my own gimmicks, but like that is not one that I do. And I
relate. I used the same tail for 10 years of my career. I totally get you.
And I had one person, do you have any other tails? And for me in my head with my Mersona, I grew this. So no, I don't have
I love it.
And so, but coming soon, I think this is the year that I'm going to switch over to silicone. So we'll see what happens.
There's so many tempting silicone tail makers.
And so we'll see what happens. So, and the silicone I want looks nothing like this. I just bought this because it was available.
Yeah.
So there will be some changes. But yeah, this is a magic tail. Very proud of it. It's done me quite well. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, Shay Monique, everybody. We're going to, again, have her socials and links down at the bottom and up on the front. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. You can check us out on patreon.com/Raina Mermaid. I'm also going to be sharing loads of convention pictures, including some beautiful ones of Shay, in my Facebook group, Raina the Mermaid Sea Fans. So check it out, and best wishes!
Yeah. Yeah, it's so nice in this yard, right? It is. I know we got so many things to explore. I love how these birds sound. Yes.